Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. So today's video is the #1 most important knife skill ever or out there, whichever one, and that's sharpening. Okay, so I went onto YouTube and I typed in a search, most important knife skill, and it came up with, some guy cutting up a potato. Somebody else, was cutting up a carrot. Somebody else was doing some speed cuts on this and that in the kitchen. Somebody was, carving a spoon with a bushcraft knife. But all of that comes after being able to sharpen your knife. If you can't sharpen your knife, then you might as well, instead of spending, high dollar on custom knives or even, fancy production knives, if you can't sharpen it, that means you're spending however much money that you spent on that knife for one use of, until that edge goes dull, that's what you're spending your money on. So if you can't sharpen, you might as well buy the cheapest knife you can possibly find and buy it by the dozen. And then when one of them gets dull, you throw it away and grab another one. And then use it till it gets dull and throw it away and grab another one. After a while, you're going to be kind of tired of doing that. Typically, and then also, cheap knives typically just don't, the ones that you can buy, for $5 or so, they don't have a quality feel to them, blades are too long, handles are too short, grinds are all wonky, and honestly, I'd much rather you get past that. The #1 skill, or the most important skill, knife skill, is sharpening. And sharpening is super, super easy. I've been thinking about this video all morning. In fact, I've got a whole page of notes that we're just going to throw out the window because it just is. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take one of my paring knives. I made this one, it's out of 1095, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. And it resides in my knife block, and we're going to go ahead and sharpen it up while I'm talking a little bit, just to give you something to watch so you're not, focusing on just me standing there. So what we've got here is we have got a Norton Crystalline Coarse Fine Combo, the JB8. This is what it looks like. Basic, but very high quality stone. You can pick these up for $30 on Amazon. They do make an economy version of this stone for quite a bit less money, but honestly, I've never really had very good luck with it. This stone right here, if you're if you're just getting started, $30 on this oil stone, $5 on a container of mineral oil. It says wood and bamboo oil, but if you look on the back, it says mineral oil. For oil stones, if you'd rather use water stones, this King 1.6, this is a 6,000 side, this is the 1,000 side. I don't know what the box says because I don't speak, well, I can't even read that, so whatever that is. But this stone right here is also about $30 on Amazon, something like that. I like oil stones most of the time, so and this knife isn't really all that dull. I suppose we can dull it up a little bit, just so that you can say I'm not cheating. And it's nice and dull. So anyway, so sharpening being the #1 knife skill out there. Like I said, if you've got let's say you work in the kitchen. Let's just confine it to kitchen knives at the moment, right? And, you've got yourself a knife and you can't sharpen it, then honestly, there's no difference, really, between a, $20, $30, 8-inch Victorinox stainless steel, run-of-the-mill, thick grinds, kitchen knife versus a high-end custom knife. This one being one of mine, it's at a 1095, it's 8-inch, got a little bit different handle profile, and extremely thin geometry, both on the edge geometry and the blade geometry. High hardness, 61, 62. But if you can't sharpen a knife, all of that means nothing. Because when it's dull, you're dead in the water. Now you're forcing your way through carrots. Your edge is skipping over the top of like bell peppers and tomatoes. You're squashing tomatoes versus cutting them. I mean, your entire time in the kitchen is going to be much less pleasant because you can't sharpen the thing. Now, if you can't sharpen it, you've got a couple of options. Like I said, you can, just buy the cheapest knife out there and then just buy them by the dozen. You can make friends with somebody who does know how to sharpen. A family member, a friend. There's folks that are out there and their whole business is sharpening knives, which honestly to me that sounds kind of silly. I mean, I first started sharpening knives when I was like 5 years old. Okay, actually let's bring you up a little bit so you can kind of see me and what I'm doing at the same time. I first started sharpening knives when I was like 5 years old. All right. Now, granted, those edges weren't my best edges. Even now, 35 years later, an awful lot of knives being sharpened. I mean, I'm a knife maker. I'm somewhere, I'd guess somewhere around the 10,000 knife mark range that I've made. And I still feel like my best edges, might be in another decade or so. I mean, it's one of those things that you can get into it as deep as you want, or you can just get into it enough to be able to sharpen your kitchen knife and be able to get back to work. Okay, so we've got a burr. We move the burr to the other side. It's on the other side. Now we're going to lighten up our pressure. Maybe this whole sharpening a knife and talking at the same time wasn't gonna pan out. So we'll lighten up our strokes, and then we'll shear our burr off. We'll wipe the blade off. And we'll take some paper and we'll slice it up. Okay? Sharpening a knife is really that simple, okay? But if you can't sharpen a knife, I mean, even at a basic level like this, okay, $30 coarse fine combination stone, or a $30 1,000, 6,000 water stone, if you can't sharpen a knife at that basic level to where you can take a knife and you can dull it, through use, or, running it across a brick or sharpening a stone or whatever. If you can't take a sharp knife, dull it through use, and then bring it back to sharp again, then honestly, everything that custom knife makers and high-end production knife makers, like Benchmade or some of the Cold Steels, or, all the other the guys I'm talking about, or the companies I'm talking about, the ones that make, you can buy an 8-inch kitchen knife like this for $30 at Walmart, or you can, like Wusthof, or those folks. If you can't take a knife, a sharp knife, dull it through use, and then bring it back to even a beginner level of sharpness, then you might as well not even spend the money on, anything nice. Because once it gets dull, you're dead in the water. You're squashing tomatoes. You're, trying to, hack through the rest of your work. Once you can get this basic level of sharpness, where you can take a knife and in 5 minutes make it cut copy paper, okay? Once you can get to that point, hey, the world of knives and cutlery just gets huge after that. Now you can talk about what kind of steel do you like, whether you want carbon or you want stainless. You can talk about varying the hardness of the blade. You can go with, a nice high hardness 1095, or a softer, 440C or 420, or, a high hardness 154 CM or S30V. Once you can sharpen, now steel type comes into play. Now sharpening angles comes into play, sharpening grits, all that kind of stuff. And you can get a knife that if you call me up and you say, hey, I can't sharpen a knife, but will you sell me one? Yeah, I mean, I'm a knife maker. My job's to make knives and to sell knives. I can sell you a knife, but honestly, you're probably not going to be happy with it, because once it goes dull, and all knives dull, there's not been a knife made yet that does not require maintenance. But if you tell me, you say, hey Joe, I can sharpen a knife. I want an 8-inch, an 8-inch chef at a 1095 steel with your heat treat, and I want a 1000 grit edge on the thing, and I want it to be, thin. This is what I'm going to be using it for. Man, the second you get that knife home and you pick it up and you start using it, you will fall in love. I mean, once you can sharpen a knife and maintain it, then you find the knife maker that works in the steel that you like, in the process that you like, whether you like forged knives or stock removal knives, and make some profiles or classes of knives that you like. Man, you can get some performance like you wouldn't believe. Your time spent in the kitchen will be, honestly, what used to take you 30 minutes with a dull knife might take you 10 minutes with a sharp knife. And when you're done, your hand and your wrist will still be fresh, because you're not having to force everything through whatever it is that you're cutting. Instead of cutting a carrot like that, putting the edge on the carrot and hammering down on the spine just to get the dang thing to cut. Now you can cut carrots without, with hardly more weight or hardly more force than the weight of the blade, because a sharp blade will part whatever it is that you're cutting with so much more ease. Make your time spent in the kitchen so much more pleasant, so much more efficient. Your pocket knives, if you decide you want to carry a pocket knife and you have a pencil that's dull and there's not a mechanical sharpener handy, you can sharpen up that pencil with your pocket knife, or punch a hole in the top of your coffee cup. The ones at Mini Mart, they never put a big enough hole in the end of that or in the top of the cup to let air in. Things just get to be so much easier with a sharp knife. And if you don't know how to sharpen a knife, check out my YouTube channel. I'm a knife maker. I've got, 20, 30 videos on sharpening on my channel. And I've even got a beginner. The other day I had a friend of mine, she had never sharpened a knife before. So I brought her over here to the shop. We took a kitchen knife. I showed her how to sharpen it, and then I dulled the crap out of it and gave it to her and walked her step by step through how to sharpen that knife. And it's all on video. You get to see it, and it's no BS. I mean, the movements her hands were making tells you that she's never sharpened a knife before. And in one afternoon, she left here being able to sharpen her own knives. And I asked her before she left, I said, don't you wish you'd have learned sooner? And she says, yes, I wish I'd have learned how to sharpen a knife when I was 10 years old, because then from that point on, you never have to fight dull knives again. Then once you can sharpen, then go ahead and go on out and buy yourself some high dollar knives, maybe some knives with, pattern welded steel or burl handles or, extreme edge or blade geometries. But learn how to sharpen a knife first. And I don't care if you learn how to sharpen a knife through my videos. I mean, I've got a ton of them up there, and that's what they're there for, is to teach you how to sharpen a knife. Or Cliff Stamp, he's got some good sharpening videos. Stephen Wolf, he's got some really nice ones. Murray Carter, he's also another knife maker like me. He's got a ton of nice sharpening videos. But find somebody on YouTube or in person to teach you how to sharpen a knife. And once you get the hang of it, even basic sharpening. Hey, it's dull, let's make it sharp. Who cares if it's the ultimate edge? If it's sharper when you get done than what it was when you started, then you're well on your way to being a good knife sharpener. And that is the most important knife skill there is. Anyway, this is a whole bunch of rambling, but hey, I just want you guys guy. I don't know why I always say guys. I mean, sharpening is not a guy thing. I mean, it's a thing. It's a species thing. Guys, girls, women, children, you know, hey, if you can dull a knife, you can sharpen it. It's that simple. But anyway, get out there, get a stone, get your favorite knife, and get to work sharpening the thing. Once you learn how to sharpen, you'll be set for sharp knives from that point on. Life is way too short to work with a dull knife. Anyway, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the videos, and I hope you start sharpening. We will see you next time.